All right, speaking of math and numbers, here is a number for you, America, 78. That is the number of times before last year's debt limit debacle that Congress has raised or extended the debt limit since 1960. By the way, more than half of those times, it was done by the GOP majority. America will reach the current $16.4 trillion limit in a matter of weeks. So will Congress dangle the debt ceiling increase before President Obama gets more spending cuts? Let us bring in Alice Rivlin, senior fellow at the Brookings Institution and founding director of the Congressional Budget Office, as well as Andy Roth, VP for Government Affairs at the Club for Growth. Alice, great to see you again. You hate the debt limit in general. How come?
Oh, I think the debt limit is a silly thing to have. When you decide how much you're going to spend and how much you're going to raise in revenues, the difference between those two numbers is what you have to borrow. So you have to borrow it after you've made those decisions. And having a debt limit is just handing a tool to whoever is not in the White House to harass the president every time it becomes necessary to raise the debt limit. It's like saying, we've run up all these bills on our credit card, but we've decided we're not going to pay it.
And do you like it? I apologize, I'm sorry you had finished. I thought you'd finished there, Alice. And do you like having a debt limit and you support raising it?
Yeah, I think Dr. Rivlin makes very good points, but we're dealing with Washington here. This is not common sense. We're dealing with politicians whose main objective almost every time they're confronted with a problem is to kick the can down the road. And that's what they've been doing for decades, at least for the last 12 years. So it's good, it's healthy to have a check which tells everybody to stop, let's pause, let's confront our problems rather than keep raising the debt limit just willy-nilly, which is what they've been doing.
You know, Alice, generally speaking, there's a growing chorus of folks led by Paul Krugman and others who say, you know, we're overreacting about the deficit. Once we get to normal growth, it'll pay itself down over time. Is that school of thinking right?
No, I don't think so. I think that what we're facing is over the long run, now not immediately, but over the next couple of decades, we have a very big problem. We have built into our federal spending commitments more spending than our revenues will afford. And that's because of the combination of this big generation retiring, the baby boomers that everybody talks about, multiplied by the cost of health care. Health care is the big problem, not only in the federal budget, but in all budgets. So if you stick with the commitments we've made, then your spending goes up faster than your GDP, and your revenues don't. So we got to do something about that. That's what they're arguing about. They're trying to make a deal. I think they ought to make a deal that stabilizes the federal debt. But that doesn't mean we need a debt ceiling. That's just an extraneous thing.
Well, Andy, how great a leverage do you think a debt limit increase could be? How much do you think Congress could use this, basically dangle defaults in front of the president to try and get some more cuts, you know, like in entitlements and things that they want?
Right. Well, I think it's a lot of leverage. Now, whether the House GOP uses that leverage, I don't know. I also think that the markets themselves are acting as a disciplinarian in this whole debate. We know that the credit agencies demand $4 trillion, and whether politicians find that money or not, the credit agencies are going to act accordingly, and that, I think, is very healthy. And I think that's what should be driving this debate, is what are the pro-growth solutions that will drive up revenue and the economy while also getting rid of our huge entitlement burdens.
Thank you very much to Alice Rivlin and also to Andy Roth.
All right, on deck. The final countdown is on. 3 down, 2 to